guys, it's Abby from Make Life Your Runway, and I'm here with a different video for my channel. You guys said you wanted to see more get ready with me's, and you also wanted me to surprise you here and there with something different. And I think I found it, and you guys will obviously be the ones to let me know. But as you saw from the title, we are getting ready with me while I give a book review. Obviously, this is not my idea. I saw Brianna Fox did it, and I was like, wait a second. That's amazing. Like, what? How? I never thought of that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other creators that do a video like this. So link them down below if you watch any of them, because I want to follow them and give them props as well. But we're going to be doing my first makeup and book review. And the book review is going to be this classic here, which is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCarty. I read this in 2 days, so we're going to talk about it. Alright, here we go. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I will talk about the products I'm using. And I'm more so just going to give my opinions on it. Kind of an outline of what the book is, my thoughts, and if I recommend it or not. So let's get started. We'll do, we'll do the base products first. I already did my skincare, so we are going to go in with primer, and today we are going to use the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1. Mine is in Fair. I love this stuff so much. It's so glowy and radiant. I got into reading this year, actually. Last year I read two books, and this year I've already read 11. I'm on my 12th one. And I am on Goodreads, so I can link my thing down below if you want to follow me there. And I really got into reading recently because I need to find ways in my life to relax. And reading does help me do that. So that's kind of where I got into it. I typically read 10 minutes a day in the morning. I have a slow morning. I'll read 10 minutes. And then I'll typically finish the book up on the weekends if it's good. Sometimes it'll take me a couple weeks if it's hard to get into. But like I said, I read that book in 2 days. I started it Friday morning, finished it Sunday morning. I literally could not stop. Foundation today is at Cosmetics CC Plus. Mine is in the color Fair. Just going to do a couple of pumps of that. The book starts off talking about her upbringing with her mom. And there are some trigger warnings here. Her mom is emotionally abusive, a little bit physically abusive. There is talks of eating disorder, a lot of talking of eating disorder. So if those are things that are triggers for you, I would maybe click out of this video, but also skip the book. I'm not going to really dive too much into those topics in this video, but you should know that it is discussed a lot in that book. And if those are things that bother you, it's a pass. The first part of the book is talking about her upbringing, is talking about her relationship with her mom, and despite the title of the book, she was actually really close to her mom and never viewed their relationship as bad, as toxic. She truly believed her mom was her best friend, not realizing that it was a codependent, abusive relationship, obviously, because she was a little girl. So it talks about her relationship with her mom, how she got into acting, and everything is matter of fact. That's actually on the reviews for Goodreads. Some people didn't like how matter of fact it was. It wasn't really her sharing her feelings on it. She was literally just stating what happened between them. Alright, going in with Maybelline Eraser. This one is in 120. This is the Instant Age Rewind. I really appreciate that, but I tend to appreciate that from anything, whether it is podcasts or, I don't know. I sometimes can get distracted by opinions when I'm listening to something. So if someone can give it matter of fact first and then drop their opinions after, I really do appreciate that kind of delivery. So I did appreciate her style of writing. I'm going to go over that with the Maybelline Better Skin in medium, no, just 10. This is discontinued. It's really sad. And some of it is like jaw-dropping, like what her mom did to her. It's literally insane. And acting was never what she wanted to do. She was quite literally forced into it by her mother. And she just wanted to please her mother because she loved her. She thought they were best friends. And she never wanted to disappoint her. You know, I will say, I think we all kind of have some sort of strained relationships with our parents, even if we have good relationships with them. And I'm not particularly close to my parents, which is like a story for another day. But I didn't find this particularly triggering to read. I just think it is so interesting how you truly know what someone's going through. And until they open up about it, you just truly have no idea. So she really deep dives what happens between them and how acting took off, and then the different avenues she had to take to get the level of success that she had within entertainment. And then halfway through, obviously, her mom passes away. I'll leave out all those details in case you really want to read it all from her point of view. So then the second half of the book really starts taking over what her adult life is like and kind of how she spirals out of control without even realizing that she's spiraling out of control. We're going to set everything with the e.l.f. Halo powder. This one is in light. So she starts with relationships that they're not necessarily like bad, like they're not abusive in any way, but they're definitely some weird people that she ends up with. And I think that's pretty normal if you don't have a great role model for healthy relationships. You're gonna just kind of have to figure out what it is for you and navigate that. But the second half of the book is really deep into talking about her eating disorder, which she struggled with for over 10 years. And she's had every form of eating disorder that you can think of. Anorexia, bulimia, you know, it's just binge eating. She literally had it all. And so the second half of her book is really just deep diving that, and that's why it could be a trigger warning if that is something that triggers you or you've dealt with, either you or someone close to you. But that part is so interesting because she tried to get help from a therapist. And in my opinion, her therapist pushed too hard for her. The moment she had a success, her mom's like, not her mom, her therapist was like, let's dig in. Where did it come from? What was your mom like? And at that point, Jeanette she didn't think her mom was abusive. So to have a therapist try to rewrite in her mind what her mom was like and call her something that she didn't at that time identify with, she stopped going. And obviously she did not get better on her own. She had some other struggles going on. But she finally got to a point where she did want to get better, and she went to a different therapist. And that therapist was really good for her because he didn't push anything. He didn't push, like, her relationship with her mom. He didn't push the, like, why she's like this or where this came from. He just stayed in the moment. Like, okay, well, what's triggering you right now? Okay, what triggered you last night? Okay, what are you eating through the day? Like, he really was just like, let's just stay in the moment with it. And through all of that, that's how she kind of figured out on her own, like, oh, so things haven't been right for a long time. Maybe I should address some of these things head on. With bronzer, we're going in Milani Silky Matte. This is in 01. Just gonna bronze up, add some color back to my face with it. As you can see, this makeup is pretty light coverage. But I do want to just add some more to it. I think for her to go in as deep as she did, not only about her childhood, but her struggles through recovery of an eating disorder, also their substance abuse with alcohol. I can't imagine like what that felt like for her to write about, because I think in one way maybe it's like freeing that you are in a place in your life where you can see things as they are, you can talk about things as they are, but to present them to the whole world and to potentially be opened up to criticism about your life is like, I don't know, brave, stupid, I don't know, all of that, I don't know, that's like, that's a lot. And then to go on tours, talking about it, I just can't imagine. Like, you have to be in a pretty good place to be able to talk about it through a book and through those interviews. Going in with a classic, another Milani product. This is Luminoso 901. She's a classic. This will be blush. I think the thing that really engaged me was how well she told the story. It was chronological. She didn't jump around. So it was very easy to kind of feel like you were in her mind, or like close friends telling you some personal stuff about their life that I just like had to know. Like, did she get better? How did it end? What is going on? And I will say that the very last part of the book is about her healing. And I think that really outweighs all the triggering hard stuff in the book, because at the end of the day, it's encouraging that no matter what you go through, you can find healing on the other side of it. But she does not sugarcoat how hard of a journey that is for her. We are going in with my favorite highlighter. This one is Soft and Gentle by MAC. This one is so good. It just looks like it, your face is just like glossy in like the best way possible. I personally have never struggled with an eating disorder, but I have struggled with the idea that the people who bring you into your life are not the best people to have in your life, and how hard that is, and how much you compare your situation to other people's situations who maybe are close to their parents, or just like don't understand. So many times in my life, talking to people about my relationship with especially my mom, so many people, like, meaning well from it, were trying to make it like my fault, like, oh, you should really try to make that better. But there are a lot of situations where it's not your control to make it better. And it wasn't until I got into therapy, my therapist was the very first person in my life, my whole life, other than like like my brother, like people who've gone through it, you know, to be like, Abby, this isn't on you. Like, here's what you can do. Here's how you can have boundaries. Here's what that can look like for you. But at the end of the day, this isn't on you. And so knowing that and having that validated allows a lot of healing to happen. And I think that's probably what she got when she went to therapy, from having someone be like, yo, you had a tough go at it, and where you are is dark and scary, but it's not where you have to be. And that validation, I think, is what really makes therapy worth the cost. If you have a good therapist who will validate for you, some aren't very good about that. All right, we're going in with the Nudes of New York. And this is just a very neutral palette, and I'm going to go very neutral on my eyes, starting with this color, which you can see I love. We'll put that on my lid. There were some funny parts of the book that they were funny. Not like, haha, she's got jokes, but funny in the sense, like, I could see my younger self saying something like that. Like, she was talking about being on iCarly, how Miranda and her were close friends, but she talks about how that relationship unfolded, at least from her perspective. And the first part was because she just thought Miranda was like the coolest girl she's ever met. And it really like talks about like that time frame, because she had a sidekick phone and she could play music from her phone, and she was just like, oh my gosh, that is cool. And then Miranda was like, you should add me on AIM. Do you have AIM? And she thought she meant like aim, like if you throw something, you hit the target. And so she's like, oh no, not really. And then she was like, had no idea in that moment what she was talking about, until she went home and her brother told her, and they could set it up, and they started talking about AIM. And that is so funny, but it's also like a sign of the time. Like, I grew up in the generation of AIM Messenger. Every night after school, I was on AOL AIM talking to my friends. I wish I could go back and read some of those. Okay, we're going to go in with a mixture of this color and this color. I'm just going to kind of tap them both and run it in my crease. Maybe I don't want to read it, because that was like Teenage Abby, and she probably made no sense at all. I know I got in some fights with my friends on there. Talked to maybe some strangers I shouldn't have talked to. Like, that was a whole world. So her talking about that, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny because I can relate a little bit to what she's saying in that situation. And it seems like her and Miranda truly did have a good relationship that lasted a long time through the years. I think as many of us, when we turn 30, relationships change for us because we just don't always have the time to talk and hang out like we did in our 20s. So relationships might look different, and it sounds like, we're gonna go under that too. Sounds like that's kind of what happened to her and Miranda. But that little piece about her describing Miranda and how cool she was, I'm like, yeah, I can relate to that. I'm going to do the Essence Lash Princess off camera, and I'm also going to do my brows off camera. I'm going to keep them pretty light. Going to go over with the Too Faced brow wig, and then I'll put this clear gel from Merit on top. Okay, so the actual book I got from the library. I'm a big library girl for 2 reasons. First reason, it's free. Second reason, I don't like a lot of clutter. I don't want to purchase a lot of books and look at them. I know some people want libraries. Stuff is too much for me. So I got this from the library, and there's 304 pages in the book. Like I said, the first half is going to be her childhood. The second half is going to be her adulthood. And then the very last half is about her healing and where she's at and what's going on in her current life. Gonna go in with that MAC Soft and Gentle for my inner corner and brow bone. If those topics are not triggering to you, then I definitely recommend that you check out the book. Or if you've been on a healing journey yourself, sometimes it's nice to hear other people overcome theirs, and kind of gives you a little bit of inspiration and hope. Even though it's a pretty rough book for most part, but it ends in an uplifting way. I set my makeup with the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury. This is my first book review, so please let me know if there's some sort of thing I should be following, like a blueprint, or what would you like to see, or is this something you do want to see? I'm more than happy to talk about book content because that is something that I'm really into right now. Like I said, I've already read 11 books this year, whereas last year I read like none. 2. Okay, I read 2. I can show you my Goodreads list, like what I have read and what's on my want to read. I can show you how I kind of navigate it through the library. I know every library is a little bit different. I don't know, like, what do you want to see? Or maybe this was like off the target. You're like, no, Abby, we don't want to see this kind of content. And then I also get it. We're gonna go in with lips. This is Merit Cara Cara. It's a lip oil with a little tint to it. Alright guys, this is the final look. It's easy, it's glowy, kind of natural, but not at all. Just a nice everyday look. I've been loving doing my brows kind of like this, like fluffy, not filled in, kind of wild, but I think they kind of naturally look like that. I love this Maybelline palette. I think it's just so nice. How simple it is. I love this lip oil. Everything is nice. Alright guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!